watching The Big Scope and welcome to another edition of Startup Stars. On the show today, I've got with me a gentleman who has created an app or an ecosystem and tech platform which basically creates report cards for Indian politicians. Sounds crazy, right? Report card for an Indian politician. I've got with me Prasanth Mittal, who is the CEO of the Neta app. Pratham also created a polling platform called Outgrow back in North America a few years back. Pratham, welcome to the show. So Pratham, tell me, what is this Neta app all about? When was it formed? How many people are involved in this? And what have you created in this Neta app?
Right. So what we do is we basically create a system, a loop of sorts, whereby citizens can rate and vote for their politicians on a daily basis. If they like what their politicians are doing, you rate them up, you give them a vote. If you do not like what they're doing, you rate them down, you take your vote back. And this dynamic, what it does is that it makes politicians accountable, right? Because they know now that if they do not do good work, they are going to get a bad rating. And you know this better than anyone else as a journalist, that politicians really care about perception. They really care about their ratings. They really care about, how they're perceived. And look at the US. I mean, I don't admire the US democracy at all, but what they have done a very good job at is creating the approval rating system, right? Every day in the morning, you wake up and news channels are talking about, hey, like Donald Trump's approval rating has increased by this much after yesterday's, decision. So this sort of a dynamic really puts in place an accountability system. So the democracy that, Plato and Aristotle and these people have sort of theorized, it really wanted one of these dynamics to be in place. But what happened over time, over thousands of years, is that we came towards elections, where this feedback loop is only processed once in 5 years. But with this feedback loop, this rating system will be processed every day or every week, right? And so it'll keep leaders accountable, not just once in 5 years during elections, but every day. That's the idea behind the app. Does that make sense?
So, having said that, I'll take a step back. So, is it very similar to your Outgrow platform that you had created in North America?
But we have leveraged our experience from Outgrow, definitely. So I'll give you an example. We work with some of the biggest media organizations, and you can imagine the kind of compliance and regulation they subject us to every day, right? From GDPR to the crazy regulation that exists in the US, we have seen them all. And so while building Neta, we wanted to make sure that our credibility is unmatched, right? And part of the way we ensure that is by ensuring user privacy, that your data is not shared, that you have access to deleting your data. You have all of those privileges that usually in India people don't care about, as companies don't care about. And even the best of the best technology companies in India have really not done a good job in maintaining user privacy. So what we have made sure is that, from our experience with Outgrow, that we leverage that in Neta and make sure that the user privacy and all the compliances that exist all over the world, we still subject ourselves to them, even if they do not comply in India.
So how about voting in rural areas? Internet penetration is not that great still in India. So what about, and people in rural areas vote more than people in urban areas. So if your app is not being used in rural areas, how do you get information from rural areas about politicians and who is voting for which politician?
First of all, we are an ecosystem, not an app, right? An app is a way to digest information from the Neta platform, but you can really digest that data from our website through an IVR system, through an SMS system, through a WhatsApp system. And the reason we did that is because we realized that elections in India are not fought in cities. They are fought in villages, right? I mean, most of the city dwellers don't even show up for elections, The turnout rates in cities very low. And so what we wanted to make sure that is that our platform is accessible to the common man in the remotest of the village, right? And app downloads is not something that they are very comfortable with. It has increased tremendously in the last few years. With Jio coming in and with the prices going down and the cheap handsets. In fact, as per our data that we have collected, 84 crore voters in India, 66 crore have access to a smartphone, right? Which is pretty high, which is pretty high. Yet we want to make it really simple for people to be able to use our platform. And so they can use that not only through the app and the website, but also through all these other channels. So you can actually use the entire app through a messenger framework. So what you can do is you can message us your constituency. We'll send you the candidates from that constituency, and you can rate them just by replying to that message.
Couple of last things. So how do you maintain yourself as a neutral body? You know, you might have people who worked in this industry before, in political advocacy groups before. How do you remain neutral so that, you know, you do not somebody, I mean, some political party, what happens if some political party approaches you like saying, you know, we want to work with you as an advocacy group? Do you do that also?
Hmm. Yeah. So all of our data is public. We do not hide any data. Number one. So any analysis that I run can be run by yourself or anyone, right? So we don't try to read judgments, right? I don't want to make the same mistake that other media companies make, which is that they reach judgment. Congress will win, BJP will win, all of those things, right? Or like some people are kind of voting for. I don't want to make any kind of judgments or inferences, right? So we do analysis, but we do analysis to clean up our data, to normalize the data. I don't know if you know statistics, but you know we do a lot of normalization. We do a lot of statistical sampling. Those kind of analysis we run, but we don't run analysis around caste. Let's say, right? We don't run analysis around personalities. So we don't want to, make any sorts of political inferences because somewhere or the other that will be perceived as taking sides, right? And that's already happening. Even though I'm so vocal about not taking sides, people still on the app, reviews, they say, oh, you're a BJP supporter because BJP is winning in this state. And then some people say you're a Congress supporter because Congress is winning in this state. I say this is your data. Like you are telling me this data. I'm not doing anything with it. So we try to stay clear of that. However, the analysis, as I mentioned, that we do is to clean the data so that the image that people see is the genuine image, right? So, for example, let's say in Karnataka, let's talk about Karnataka. Karnataka has around 70% rural population, 30% urban population, right? And I realized that my urban population is slightly more represented, right? So, in my analysis, I did some corrections to make sure that the sampling is a correct representation of the actual demographic. So that kind of analysis and cleaning we do. But if the sample size is big enough, I don't even have to do that. Uh, so in Rajasthan, I'm gonna try and not do that because again, I feel like I should not correct anything. Like I should represent the image picture as it is.
So what about privacy of the data that is there with you? I mean, you're collating data points which are based on opinions of people across India, and you're also collecting information about politicians. So how about, what do you do about the privacy of the data at your place?
Yeah. Got it. So I've, by the way, my Outgrow platform is entirely GDPR compliant, right? So I mean, we don't have a choice. We have to be. I'm not proud of it. I'm just saying. So here's the thing. If you're not storing anything, problem is storage. Problem is storage, right? Problem is not authentication. Problem is storage. Now I authenticate using your password, but I don't store your password, right? I'm talking about Gmail or Facebook, all of those people. Like they hash it and everything. So in Neta, we don't store anything. All of that things, even your phone number, I don't store. I use it for authentication, and it doesn't even touch my database anywhere. It goes from API to API. Right? What I store is the API response, whether it is approved or not approved. Right? So, because we are a mass app, right? In GDPR, there is a ruling which says that people have the right to delete their data, right? Right to maintain. So I don't want to get into this. What I've done is I won't even store your data. Right? Anything that is personally identifiable. I do store your location. I'll tell you what I store. I do store your location, but I don't know that it is your location. I know it is a location. I know that someone from a location has voted for BJP. I don't know who that person is. Yeah. Not even anonymizing. I'm not even storing it. Anonymizing means that I am hashing it or I'm encrypting it. the way WhatsApp does. I'm not even storing it, so there is no question of encrypting or anonymizing.
Very lovely. Pratham, thank you so much. It was a fascinating conversation. I mean, those are great insight in terms of what you're planning to do with technology, data analytics, with what's happening in politics in India. I wish you all the best, but thank you so much for coming on our show.